This is the second in a series of 2 videos on the AI Volatility Edge platform, abbreviated AIVE for short. If you have not already viewed the first video, please do so now. This video is not comprehensive and assumes knowledge from the first video. The primary purpose of this video is to provide an example of how to use the user interface of the AIVE platform. In other words, how, when, where to enter data and how to operate the spreadsheet. This video would be most useful to new subscribers, although it may be of interest to prospective subscribers as well. The AIVE platform is offered by Trading Insights, LLC, and both professional and non-professional subscriptions are available. I am Brian Johnson, and I have over 30 years of experience as an investment professional. I designed the AIVE models and the platform for use in my own proprietary derivatives trading. The AI Volatility Edge platform was designed in Excel using numerous macros to automate spreadsheet operations, making the spreadsheet very easy to operate. The workbook has 9 different worksheet tabs: Disclaimer, All Data, IV Data, Price Data, AI Forecasts, Estimate TSV, Analysis, Convert Date, and Holidays. I will demonstrate how, where, and when to enter data into each worksheet tab, except for the Convert Date and Holidays worksheets. Both of these worksheets are straightforward, and the instructions provided for each in the spreadsheet are self-explanatory. Please note, I will not explain the models or interpret the forecasts here. Please view the first video overview of the AIVE platform for this information. Before moving on to each worksheet, let's review the general instructions. First, only enter values in cells with blue text or blue backgrounds, and then second, close all other Excel workbooks when using one of the AIVE workbooks. Let's move on to the Disclaimer tab. No data entry is required on the Disclaimer tab. However, it does include an overview of the instructions on how to use the AIVE platform. Every worksheet tab has its own instructions panel. Please review them carefully. The Disclaimer tab also has download links to the VIX, RVX, VXN historical data provided by the CBOE. You will need to use these links if you would like to use the free data options. Finally, the panel on the top left includes a small subset of the disclaimer and terms. If you click on this panel, you will be directed to the full terms and conditions, which is located on the traderedge.net website. Let's move on to the All Data tab. On the All Data tab, first, note the AIVE instruction panel, which is specific to the All Data worksheet. There are several required tasks on this worksheet. The first one is to accept the terms and conditions, which is located in cell K2. There's a drop-down box with 2 different options, 1 for yes, 2 for no, and the user must accept the terms and conditions to allow the macros to operate properly. In addition, there's a second required task on this sheet, which is to enter the monthly password in cell L4. The monthly password is located in the restricted area of the TraderEdge site, which subscribers have access to. Both of these tasks must be completed to allow any of the macros to run properly. The final task that needs to be completed is that there is a button, a push button macro located at the top, and that push button macro is called the clear all and calc off macro, and that does essentially that. It clears all of the existing data from the spreadsheet and it turns the automatic calculations off. What that does is it reduces the drain, if you will, on the spreadsheet for all the calculations while you're actually importing the data. The next step is we're going to actually run the clear all and calc off macro now. And as you can see, that clears the data and it takes us automatically to the IV data tab, which we will discuss next. On the IV data tab, first, note the IV instructions, which are again specific to the IV data worksheet, in the instruction panel. If you click on the instruction panel on any worksheet tab, it will generate an email to me for additional assistance. The IV models derive the values of proprietary, explanatory variables from current and historical IV and price data. The IV data and price data worksheets are used to import the current and historical IV and price data from .csv data files that the user has downloaded previously. The AIVE spreadsheets support data import from two different sources, both a free option, which in this case is from the CBOE, and a paid option, which is from Commodity Systems International, or CSI. CSI is the vendor that I use for all of my data analysis purposes. So the spreadsheet needs to be able to find the data file. So if you use the free option, you need two additional inputs. The first input is you need to explain to the spreadsheet what is the file name, not the file type, but what is the file name, in this case for the CBOE file, which is basically called VIX current. And in addition to that, the spreadsheet will need to know the path in terms of where it can find that data. And the path in this case is the default path of CAI vol edge, and that would be the path or the file location for all of the files for the AI Volatility Edge platform. In addition, you also have the option of using the CSI data, which is automatically downloaded on a daily basis. In this case, the symbol, or the file, which is also the file name, is VIX-I, and that is located also in a separate directory. So the user has complete control of the file names and directories for both the free data option and also for the paid data option as well. And again, just to remind you, the data files need to be downloaded in advance and be local on the user's computer before input. So the next step at this point is actually to run the import process, which is quite simple. In this case, all we need to do is click on the import CBOE IE data push button macro, and it would be the same for the CSI macro below, but we'll actually use the CBOE in this example. As you can see, the data is populated on the sheet, and the next step would be to move to the Price tab. The Price tab is almost identical to the IV Data tab, and the objective is very similar as well. In this case, we want to import the price data from one of two sources. As was the case with the IV data, we can either import free data. In this case, we could import free data in a Yahoo format, again, that the user has previously downloaded, or again, we can import data in a CSI format in the appropriate directory. So again, as we did with the IV data, we would need to enter a file name, which is in this case is the symbol of the security for the Yahoo or free file, the path where it can be located, and if you choose to use the CSI option and the CSI format, you would again specify the file name, which in this case is SBX-I, and then where that file can be found, you would specify the path as well. So again, once you've accomplished that, you would then go ahead and actually import the data, and it's basically as simple as clicking on the import button, and again, I will use the free data option in this case. So there we've actually imported the Yahoo price data, which was downloaded previously, and now we're ready to actually generate the AI forecasts on the AI forecast worksheet. The first and critically important step is to click on the Calc On macro before we proceed. The Calc On macro is located at the top of the spreadsheet, and we click on the Calc On macro, and what that does is it turns the automatic calculations back on for the spreadsheet to ensure that all of the calculations are done in real time when we make an update. The next step is to enter the analysis date or the desired analysis date in cell C1 in month, day, YYY format. And again, this date cannot be in the future. Once we enter that date, it will go ahead and calculate and display the day of the week and whether that date was a holiday. If the analysis date exists in the IV and the price import files, then we can proceed to actually generate the IV forecasts for that date. The next step in the process will be to clear the data running the push button macro, calculate the AI forecasts using that macro, and if for any reason we need to adjust the axes minimum and maximum for the charts, then you can click on the macro for that as well. Let's go ahead and run these macros now. So let's begin with the clear output data, which clears the old forecasts. We click on the Calc AI Vol Forecasts tab, which runs the push button macro, and then finally we run the third macro, which sets the appropriate chart axes minimum and maximum. So these macros will automatically populate all of the tables and graphs on the worksheet with the 4 different volatility forecasts for each forecast date. 0 for today's date, all the way out to 504 trading days into the future. It is also possible to enter intraday or closing price data, typically for the current date, in the AI forecasts worksheet. In this case, we would enter the daily high, daily low, and the close or the current data for an intraday observation for the equity index in cells C4 to E4. Next, we would enter the intraday or closing volatility index price, in this case for the VIX, in cell E5, in this case 1856. And from there, we would need to click on a separate macro, which is the update/add current prices. So again, this is an either-or situation. We either pull data that's already been uploaded directly for the AI and for the VIX and price data, or we can actually input a current daily observation using the daily high, daily low, and the close or current prices for the index and also the volatility index price as well. Once we've actually completed that, then the process would be the same. We would click on the clear output data. We would then calc the AI forecasts, and then we can set the chart minimum or maximum. But again, we've already accomplished that at this point, so we will not repeat that for a hypothetical intraday observation. So now that we've generated the forecasts, I will not review the AIVE forecasts here. Instead, please refer to the first AIVE overview video for this analysis and interpretation of the forecasts on 10/1/2019. For our purposes, we're next going to move to the Estimate TSV worksheet tab. On the Estimate TSV worksheet, TSV stands for the Term Structure of Volatilities. This is an optional worksheet that uses Solver to calculate the implied forward term structure of volatilities from the implied volatility and ATM equity index options and from the volatility index of future prices if those are available for the underlying index. The resulting implied term structure of volatilities is then used to calculate a relative value snapshot of each ATM option and volatility index futures contract at a specific point in time. Note, this analysis only uses current at-the-money implied volatilities and futures prices to calculate an instantaneous relative value analysis. It does not use AI and it does not make forecasts. Instead, it uses a mathematical relationship that is embedded in the term structure of volatilities, which will be explored in detail in my upcoming book. The spreadsheet may be used independently or in conjunction with the AI Volatility Edge or AIVE forecasts. If it's used in conjunction with the AI Volatility Edge forecasts, the analysis date and the associated data must be exactly the same as the date and data used in the AIVE forecasts on that date. Data entered here can then be imported directly into the analysis worksheet for an AI relative value analysis, or if you prefer, IV and futures market data could be entered directly into the analysis worksheet. If you'd like to enter the data here, the first step is that the analysis date is entered in cell B2. In this case, as you'll notice, it's already entered as 10/1/2019. Since we are going to use this in conjunction with the AI forecasts, those dates must be exactly the same. Next, you'll see an age date in cell C2, which allows this spreadsheet to actually take the data that it analyzes as of 10/1/19 and project it out into the future on a future date, which in this case is roughly 30 days into the future, or 11/1/2019. The last input, which is cell D2, represents either two different options. One is a constant, or two, a function. In this case, I've specified function from the drop-down list. A constant simply means that the spreadsheet here will go ahead and solve for the constant spread between the at-the-money implied volatility and futures that best explains the prices. Or if it's a function, it uses a function that's estimated literally over the past 20 years of data for the SPX, NDX, and for the RUT to find the appropriate function that exists between the at-the-money implied volatility and the futures data. And the reason for that functional difference is basically the vertical skew. After entering the analysis date, the monthly option expiration dates will be automatically populated in cells D6 through D30. So this is an extremely convenient option. Essentially what it does is it takes the current date and automatically populates the monthly expiration dates for the options. In addition, it automatically populates the VIX futures contract maturities as well in cells Q6 through Q29. That makes it a lot easier when entering data, is that the user does not actually have to go back and enter these dates specifically. However, if we want to enter data as of this date, the user would then enter the at-the-money implied volatility data for any of the options that expire on any of these dates. So in this case, that data would be entered here in cells J6 through J30. You'll notice that only some of those cells are populated. You would typically get that data from either your broker or an outside or third-party vendor. I use OptionView for that purpose. The VIX futures prices for 10/1/19, which would be taken simultaneously with the at-the-money implied volatility data, would be entered in cells S6 through S29. The last step, once that data has actually been entered, and I won't do it here just to save time, is that we would run solver using the solver push button macro, and the solver push button macro would then find the set of forward implied volatilities that would, as of this date, that would best explain the at-the-money implied volatility prices and the VIX futures prices. In addition, it would also calculate a relative value analysis, in other words, what is cheap and what is rich, but only on a snapshot basis. I will discuss that further in my upcoming book, and also I'll discuss it further in the second video in this series as well. So again, running solver will automatically populate the tables and graphs on this worksheet, and then that will allow us to move on to the analysis worksheet. The analysis worksheet applies the general model forecasts from the AI forecasts worksheet to specific options and futures contracts. As a result, the analysis date is automatically populated in cell B2 from the AI forecasts tab. The user may not change this value on this sheet because they use the same AI forecasts. The analysis worksheet compares the AI VE forecasts to the at-the-money implied volatility and volatility index futures prices to perform a standardized relative value analysis across the entire term structure of volatilities. This requires at-the-money implied volatility data and VIX futures data for the analysis date. The required data could be obtained from your broker, platform, or from a third-party vendor such as OptionView. Before entering the data, it is a good practice to begin by running the Clear Input Data push button macro, which I'll do now. So there I've cleared the data, which was already blank. The next step, if the user has already entered data for the analysis date into the Estimate TSV worksheet, at which we have, the user would simply run the Import TSV Data push button macro to import the at-the-money implied volatility and volatility index futures prices, and most importantly, the corresponding expiration dates. So let's do that now. As you can see, we run the import TSV data, and it automatically populates the prices and does all of the calculations. If the user had not entered the data in the Estimate TSV worksheet, it would need to be entered here. The at-the-money implied volatilities and expiration dates for the equity index options would be entered into cells G5 through G29 and E5 through E29. So the data would be entered here for the at-the-money implied volatilities, and then the corresponding expiration dates, which again you'll notice are in blue, would be entered here as noted. But again, since we imported the data directly, it automatically imported the data from the TSV worksheet, both the expiration dates and the at-the-money implied volatility data as well. Similarly, if there's futures data and the user had not used the Estimate TSV worksheet to import it, the user would need to enter the volatility index futures expiration dates in N6 through N29 and the current futures prices in P6 through P29. Once that's done, a complete relative value analysis, which does include the AI forecasts, would be performed for all at-the-money options across the entire term structure of volatilities and for all VIX futures contracts with data supplied. For a full discussion of the analysis worksheet and interpretation of the forecasts, please see the first video in the series. Volatility is arguably the single most important option concept. Unfortunately, modeling volatility is an extremely complicated challenge, but one offering unique trading opportunities. The AI Volatility Edge platform is an integrated collection of 80 AI models that were developed with the latest machine learning algorithms and proprietary training techniques. A comprehensive description of the AI Volatility Edge platform, including numerous trade examples, is available at the Trader Edge address shown on the screen. New AIVE subscriptions for both professionals and non-professionals are also available at the same Trader Edge web address. Finally, you will find blog posts, links to my other books, and links to discount offers from affiliates, including OptionView and CSI, which I use in my proprietary trading. I hope you have found this video to be interesting and informative. Thank you.